The other day, I came across a quote on Instagram that said, "You have to be prepared to walk away from the familiar so that God can position you to walk into your future." I'll take it up again. You have to be prepared to walk away from the familiar so that God can position you to walk into your future. See, it's very easy for us as young people, as human beings, to become familiar with places, to become comfortable, to become complacent with the callings that God has given us, the giftings that God has given us. And I'm here to just share this video with you and ask you, are you familiar with the place that God has called you into? Are you comfortable with the place that God has called you into? When I was just thinking through this video and thinking through this bit of passage, or rather this quote, a verse came to mind in 1 Samuel, a story rather in scripture, about this man called Saul. Saul begins as a gentleman who, in fact, the Bible describes him as a handsome man in 1 Samuel chapter 9. He's an astute man, and ideally people were, looking up to him. I mean, it's also said that he was apparently the tallest man in Israel. And this man was anointed as the king of Israel. And as you continue reading from chapter 9 of 1 Samuel, all the way to chapter 15 into chapter 16, the story of Saul continues to dwindle down. This Saul who we saw as somebody who was anointed, somebody who was revered in the community in Israel, and who was supposedly is meant to help the Israelites come out, of this bone of contention that they were with the Philistines, is now somebody who is seen to struggle with anger, to struggle with high temper, to struggle with character issues. And I would only imagine that in 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 17 over 7, I believe, we are seeing that Samuel is telling Saul that God has anointed him to be the king of Israel. And he continues to say that God is going to be with him. But later on, we see that the Spirit of God left Saul, and he was being tormented by another evil spirit. And so David has to play the harp so that this evil spirit that is tormenting Saul can actually leave him. And it means that God had already left Saul in order for him to be tormented. It's very unfortunate, because I tend to believe that Saul got to a point in his life where he became comfortable. Instead of him pushing, instead of him going an extra mile, instead of him obeying what God told him, to kill all the Amalekites and not to leave anything behind, he goes ahead to disobey what God told him. Instead of him waiting for Samuel to come and offer the sacrifice to God, he goes ahead to do it. All in the name of, he was trying to be obedient, he was trying to be this gentleman who is, obeying God and doing what God was saying supposedly. And the funny thing is, or the most interesting thing is, he never realized it, or it never dawned on him that he's actually comfortable in where he was. He was complacent with where he was, and he was deceiving himself that apparently he's still the king and God is still with him. Then he should do whatever he feels like. And are you at this point in your life where you have become comfortable with what God has given you, and you're deceiving yourself? You're in a place of self-deception where you think that I don't need to make a change, I don't need to do anything, I don't need to go the extra mile, I don't need to, obey God and follow His word and do what I need to do, in order for me to move from point A to point B. And that's the thing about familiarity. That's the thing about being comfortable where we are. This is the thing about being complacent, is that it makes us not become fruitful and multiply as God would have intended it to be for us. And this quote continues to say, the familiar place is comfortable, but it is self-suffocating. It's suffocating your calling and what God has called you into. And also, this familiar place, which was once a place that called you higher, has now become a source of stagnation and comfort. Are these the words running through your mind as you're listening to this video? I pray that you'll come out of this place of familiarity. You'll come out of this place of comfort and understand that God does not want you to remain where He had called you initially. He wants you to move forward. He wants you to move to the next step and understand that He is calling you into a better and bigger space, a space where He wants you to use your gifting, a place where He wants you to use your skills and what He has called you to do as an individual. Thank you so much for watching these videos. We look forward to engaging with each and every one of you on our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Until next time, the Lord bless you, and remember, do not self-deceive yourself. God bless you.